Organization.
کاوش مدیا.
The Shanghai Cooperation Organization is a Eurasian alliance, including countries such as Russia, China, Central Asia, and now Iran. And it focuses on issues stemming from security to economics to politics. And it's a very good alliance because it means that all of the countries involved are now members of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And Iran, having been admitted to the alliance, demonstrates how Iran's influence, not just in the Middle East, but in the wider world, is growing. And I consider Iran's admittance to be very good, especially for the security of that region. Yes, it will be good for trade, but I believe that there is, of course, a very serious Islamist terrorist presence growing not just in Central Asia, but also in the Chinese region of Xinjiang. And I believe that Iran, as a result of its tremendous experience in fighting against terrorism, after all, it was Iran that prevented the cancerous tentacles of the Taliban from extending into the Middle East, will be able now to share vital information with countries in the SCO, such as Russia and China, which will be imperative for stemming and defeating Islamist terrorism and Islamism in general in Central Asian states. But of course, the Americans, who, as I said, remain very much in Afghanistan, will view Iran's admittance to the SCO with increasing consternation, because on the one hand, it shows that Tehran's influence is growing, but secondly, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization has grown to such an extent now that the Americans are exceedingly wary and concerned by it.
Yes, Steve, I mean, Marcus brought it up when he was defining the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. People in the West naively, stupidly make it some kind of comparison with NATO, which is it's not, okay? Because the security element may be there, definitely. Counterterrorism, yes, definitely there. But there is the commercial economic element that is key to the functioning of this organization. And this is why this is such a windfall for Iran, because they're breaking out of the isolation, the maximum pressure, quote unquote, that the U.S. has applied against the Iranian economy. So this is a very significant move. And this organization covers the Eurasian landmass. It's vast, okay? And this is certainly a counter to the hegemonic aims that the U.S. has for the Eurasian landmass. Go ahead, Dima.
Well, I would add to what Marcus has just rightly said, that the Shanghai Cooperation Organization was founded in 1997 on China's initiative. And now it not only includes Iran, it includes India and Pakistan. So basically, when we are told by the Western media, oh, there is so much contradiction between China, India, Pakistan, they hate each other, somehow, when the United States and the West is not involved, they can be members of the same organization.
Marcus, this is something that Iran is really pushed for very, very hard. I think they had observer status starting in 2005, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a windfall for them. And it shows that the American-led campaign crusade, if I can use that word, against Iran is slowly but surely eroding, coming apart here. The country is very much self-sufficient in many ways because of the sanctions, and now the massive economic deal made with China that will go over the next quarter century. This is a new page for Iran. I mean, it seems to me they've made it through the worst here, at least as far as the American policy against Iran. And I think, as you pointed out, the region is going to be far more safer because there is real terrorism there, and having these countries, all of these countries feel it, okay, and it's their common enemy. So I think instead of coddling and protecting ISIS and the 31 flavors of jihad, these countries in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization are actually serious in fighting it. Go ahead, Marcus.
Well, Peter, Iran for over 42 years now has withstood a terrible, horrific barrage of sanctions placed on it by America. And yet Iran not only has withstood the barrage, but Iran has grown stronger and stronger. And its recent admission to the SCO demonstrates that Iran is more than just a regional player now. And it also goes to show how close Iran's relations, political, economic, and military relations with both Russia and China are. Because, of course, Moscow and Beijing are the de facto leaders of the SCO. That's indisputable. Iran has a very close relationship with China, hence why Beijing was more than happy for Iran to be admitted. But even more important than that, Iran has a strategic partnership with the Russian Federation. That on its own has changed the dynamics, has changed the dimensions of the Middle East, because no longer is Iran facing America on its own, like it did during the 1980s and during the 1990s. So, of course, the Kremlin was very happy to see its strategic partner admitted to the SCO.
آنچه در مورد ما میگویند